Hey, good morning. I'd like to call the Niagara Police Service Board public meeting to order for November 27, 2025. My name is Pat Kyoku, and I am the chair of the Niagara Police Service Board. I'll begin with a roll call. Member Gibson.
I'm present.
Member Yip.
Present.
Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Present.
Member McKendrick.
Present.
And we do have regrets from Member Steele. We begin the meeting this morning by acknowledging that the Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hondawandarak, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. Niagara Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Service Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Okay, we go to number 4. Do any members have any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest?
I am
Member
declaring a perceived conflict for 9.8 as it refers to my employment agency.
Thank you. Any other members? I'm seeing none. We'll go to the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Gibson, seconded by Member Yip, that the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Any comments? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. We'll go to the verbal reports, beginning with myself, the board chair. On October 30th, the board joined Chief 40 and the service members at police headquarters for the swearing-in of ceremony for 15 new recruit members of Niagara Regional Police Service and 3 currently serving police officers. Vice Chair Capsavanu, members Gibson, McKendrick, Director Reed, and I were in attendance. The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosts monthly webinars as part of their educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently affecting policing community. Webinars were held on October 31st, November 6th, and 10th for discussions on recruiting a police chief, ways to improve the public's understanding of policing and policing and police use, and policies of facial recognition technology. Records of all webinars are sent to the board members for their viewing. On November 16th, the service held its first Tree of Hope lighting ceremony at the police headquarters. Service and community members gathered as this cultural ceremony to raise awareness for missing or murdered Indigenous persons and Two-Spirit individuals. Member McKendrick and I attended the ceremony on behalf of the board. On November 17th, I joined, again, Chief 40 at Grimsby's Town Council meeting for a presentation about the NRPS policing programs, calls for service, emerging issues, speed and traffic enforcement in Grimsby, and the service's ongoing efforts in crime prevention and community engagement. Members of Grimsby Town Council had the opportunity to ask questions and address community safety concerns. On November 19th, Director Reed and I attended the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards Zone 4 meeting. The Zone 4 is comprised of 14 police service boards and meets quarterly to discuss matters related to police governance. At the meeting, there was a presentation about police use of artificial intelligence and the importance of board governance and service procedures to develop oversight functions for AI. As part of the NRPS Cybersecurity Strategic Plan, the board will be working with the service to align future policies and procedures governing the use of AI and technologies. On November 25th, the service held a human trafficking community information session at police headquarters. Members of the NRPS Human Traffic Unit hosted the session to provide the public with a better understanding of how to identify human trafficking red flags and warning signs, what steps to take when suspecting a victim or survivor of human trafficking, and the options and supports available for human trafficking victims and survivors. Members McKendrick attended the session on behalf of the board. On November 26th and 26th, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards hosted their 2025 Annual Labor Conference at the Hilton Toronto Airport Hotel in Mississauga. The conference focused on policing, governance, and innovation, featuring networking opportunities and expert-led sessions. Members Gibson, Director Reed, Board Solicitor McKeag, and I attended the conference, joined by Deputy Chief Wozlovich. There are no committee meetings scheduled for December. The next regular monthly board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 18, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. here in the community room at Police Headquarters. Now I'll go to the Chief for any reports.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. First, I'd like to share an incident. I'd like to start with community safety, if I could. I'd like to share an incident that occurred on October 29th in Port Colborne when we responded to a weapons call. As evolving information was being gleaned, the resources deployed by our service included uniformed personnel, the emergency task unit, our canine unit, and our corporate communications team. A hold and secure bulletin was ultimately released to the public to ensure that the people and the students in the area were kept safe. The incident lasted over 8 hours. At the conclusion of the incident, a male was located and arrested for second-degree murder. The incident exemplifies the work of our frontline officers, our support units, the partnerships, the effective communication with the residents and the school boards, and our ability to successfully bring a very dangerous and fast-moving incident to a successful conclusion. So I would like to applaud everybody who engaged in that undertaking. Our core units continue to work diligently in the community and have continued their initiative known as 3P. It's past the point of purchase. The initiative is a collaborative approach with store loss prevention officers throughout the region. In a recent one-month period, this initiative resulted in 20 people being arrested and over $2,700 worth of stolen merchandise being recovered. November 2nd to November 8th was Crime Prevention Week, with the important theme of working together for safer communities. Throughout the week, we provided content on all our communication platforms on matters like crime prevention, reducing victimization, and how residents can contribute to an overall safer community. On November 11th and 12th, the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting was held in Niagara-on-the-Lake and was very well organized by our team led by Deputy Wozlovich and our emergency services personnel, working collaboratively with provincial and federal law enforcement partners. Moving over to community engagement, on October 28th, we attended Welland City Council to deliver a presentation to Mayor and Council. Deputy Chief Laguteria highlighted our efforts in addressing community safety and well-being, and we were joined there by the District Commander and Superintendent Perrant as well. On October 30th, we attended the Niagara Economic Summit, joining several elected officials, business owners, government personnel, nonprofit leaders from within the nonprofit community, in a forum to discuss and learn how Niagara can adapt and thrive in an area of global challenge, complicated in a meaningful way by matters related to the United States. On October 30th, Deputy Chief Laguteria, Superintendent Perrant, and Inspector LaPlante attended the Niagara-on-the-Lake Emergency Services Open House. It was held by and led by Lord Mayor Zalepa. Niagara EMS also attended. The Niagara on the Lake Fire Department also attended, as well as the Ontario Provincial Police. We delivered a presentation highlighting service priorities and several current initiatives that are underway. Following the presentations, the deputy and the superintendent made themselves available for any questions that the community might have on matters related to public safety. On October 30th, as you referenced in your comments, Chair, we hosted a recruit graduation in this room where we welcomed 15 new recruits and 3 currently serving officers to our service. On November 1st, the Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers Scholarship and Awards Gala was held in Toronto. Deputy Chiefs Greco and Laguteri attended with service members as we helped to celebrate and recognize achievements at that 33rd Annual Gala. On November 3rd, at the Chief of Police Inclusion Council meeting held upstairs in the boardroom, we received a presentation from Deanna Delia, the Chief Operating Officer of the YMCA here in Niagara. We learned of their ongoing work as we continue to strengthen our partnerships and work together with members of the Extended Council. Also on November 3rd, Deputy Chief Laguteri attended and welcomed 100 attendees to the Sexual Assault Investigators Conference that was held down in Niagara Falls. On November 5th, we hosted Take Your Kids to Work Day, where we had 42 children attend the office. It included a tour of our cell block, tours of our emergency task unit, our training unit, our forensics unit, and our communications, along with presentations by our core unit, our ICE unit, and our recruiting units. Also on November 5th, members of our EDI unit attended the University of Niagara Falls to speak with international students about fraud, scams, and hate crimes, and they answered any questions that the students might have. On November 7th, we attended the annual Penner Home Hardware Braveheart Gala in support of the Kristen French Child Advocacy Center. The event raises money to support child and youth victims of abuse, and we appreciate the support also provided by the board through the special fund account. So thank you from everybody. On Remembrance Day, November 11th, and in the days before, many members, including those from our senior leadership team, attended various locations across the region, including Legions, of course, to pay tribute and honor those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for us. On November 13th, we attended a number of events. First, we had 8 members at the Ontario Women in Law Enforcement Training Day. The theme was Empowered Essence and focused on strengthening leadership, fostering professional growth, and celebrating the contributions of women in policing across Ontario. We attended the Toronto Police Chiefs Gala, supporting Chief Demkew and his contributions and his leadership to the community, and in particular, victim services. Members of the EDI unit were also at the St. John Adult Learning Center to present to 3 groups of English second language students about tenants' rights, fraud, and scams that they might experience in addition to hate crimes. On November 15th, our pipe band, honor guard, and members participated in the Niagara Falls Santa Claus Parade in downtown Niagara Falls. Also on November 15th, we attended the Serving with Pride Gala in Cambridge. We had members attend that as well. On November 16th, as you referenced, Chair, we held the Trio Hope ceremony here at headquarters. This recognition shines a light on the national crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, Two-Spirit, and gender-diverse people. We had members of the Indigenous community lead the event, which was organized by members of our Indigenous Liaison unit, in particular Mitch Dumont, who's doing a tremendous job, supported by many of us, including Staff Sergeant Jeff Bootsma and Deputy Chief Laguteri. On November 17th, as you referenced, Chair, we presented to Grimsby Council, and I thought that Staff Sergeant Dylan Bourgeois did an excellent job providing information to Mayor Council on some of the pressures that we face in Grimsby and some of the great work that they're doing as investigators and as part of their community engagement initiatives. Through November 17th to 23rd, the annual Tim Hortons Holiday Smile Cookie Campaign was held. It supports local charities and community groups, and several members of the service attended a variety of locations across the region to lend a hand and support this very worthy cause. On November 18th, we attended the YMCA in Grimsby for their 2025 Stronger Together Impact Program report and award ceremony, where they recognized several persons from across the region who are providing excellent support to the different YMCA's. Also on November 18th, Deputy Chief Waslovich attended the swearing-in ceremony for Justice of the Peace Brian Andrew Cooper at the Welland Courthouse. And on November 20th, we attended Chief Jason Bellaire's retirement in Windsor on Thursday evening. On November 20th, our EDI unit members attended the drag race viewing party at the Niagara Falls Exchange, hosted by Pride Niagara. On November 22nd, we attended Saturday, we attended the Merry Chili Holiday Cook-Off between Welland Fire and our service at Welland City Hall. It was held in conjunction with Welland Santa Claus Parade and a tree lighting ceremony where Mayor Campion plugged the power in to light the Christmas tree. Yeah, tree lighting, sorry, thank you. On November 24th, we attended the Thorold Town and Gown meeting where Inspector Rose represented our service. We also attended Niagara Region Headquarters for their flag raising and the beginning of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. We were there with many of our partners, including Jillian's Place, the YMCA, Victim Services, and several members of the Indigenous community. And we played a role in opening the ceremony and doing the land acknowledgement and things like that. On November 25th, we attended the Community Safety and Wellbeing meeting. We were joined at that meeting by Member McKendrick, who was there acting in her capacity as a board member, where we discussed the current status of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Also, as you referenced, Chair, on November 25th, our Human Trafficking Unit delivered a community presentation in this room. It was geared towards youth, parents, and community members who wanted to learn about human trafficking and the effects it has on our community. We discussed red flags and what to do to try to support survivors. And as you referenced, Member McKendrick also joined and supported the team. On November 26th, Superintendent Nesbitt attended the OACP CEO Day on behalf of us to accommodate competing pressures and schedules. Our members have once again begun volunteering in the Out of the Cold program that assists with the St. Catherine's Church that distributes food to those in need every holiday season. Our members gladly volunteer their time to this great community cause. I would like to acknowledge Diana James, Sean Harder, and Sergeant Robin Bleach for organizing it and arranging delivery of socks and neck warmers in support of the program. And I would like to thank the board for your continued support of that program through the special fund, so thank you. And then, as you referenced, Chair, Deputy Chief Waslovich attended the OAPSB meeting and in his capacity as a senior executive with the organization. With respect to member wellness, a soccer tournament is being held tomorrow at Players Paradise Sports Complex in Stony Creek. The event is organized by our Benevolent Fund and our colleagues from the Hamilton Police Benevolent Fund, and there will be a friendly match between our respective organizations, and the funds raised will go to support our members in difficult times to assist with a variety of needs. So that concludes my comments at this time, Chair.
That's great. Thank you, Chief. Another busy month, I see. And I always commend the work that you and your team do on a day in, day out basis, along with the frontline officers who are, I commend the work that they do in keeping our community safe. And I don't want to forget the civilians as well. They, do a great job. We work as a team here, and you're all doing great work, so thank you. Next, we'll go to presentations. Sorry, is there any questions for the chief? No? Okay, we'll go to presentations. Chief, do you want to, our first one is 8.1, Niagara Regional Police Foundation. Would you like to introduce the presenters?
Yes, Chair. It would be my pleasure to introduce the Chair and Vice Chair of the Niagara Regional Police Foundation. The Chair is Mike Kirkopoulos, and the Vice Chair is Karen Simpson, and we're joined by them here this morning to provide a presentation and take any questions you may have.
Thank you for having us here this morning. As you know, the foundation was started this past summer with the mandate of supporting fundraising to support programs for community safety and crime prevention. So we're very much a foundation that is we're grassroots stages. We're a working foundation, and what we're going to do this morning is put some faces behind the names that you've seen on paper, introduce you to our members on screen, let you know what skill sets and experience that they bring to our board, to our foundation, but also to give you a sense of our purpose and future direction. So I will talk to you about our membership, and then Mike's going to talk to you about purpose and foundation. So we'll start with, we'll see, maybe we'll start with, okay, so Mike Kirkopoulos, the Chief Administrative Officer for the town of Lincoln. He brings with him, as you can see on screen, a sense of leadership, extensive leadership and governance experience, policy development and long-term community planning, and a great sense of the purpose and need for establishing community relationships. My background is a retired principal with the District School Board of Niagara. A large part of what we did on a daily basis over and above just leadership and youth development was seeing the sense of the importance of supporting our youth and community safety. I can tell you that in my years as an administrator, that curriculum started to take a back seat to curriculum as it supported mental health and physical wellness of our school community. Jeff Sika is our treasurer. He's a registered psychotherapist with the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario. Jeff has worked extensively with youth, both in crisis and in preventing crisis, like getting you to the point where you can, understanding the need for being preventative and proactive. Supporting our executive is Vita Gali, who is our secretary, something I can tell you we truly appreciate. So thank you, Vita, for all of your support. In addition to our executive, we have a good set of directors supporting us. We have Matt Harris, Senior Development Officer with the Niagara Health Foundation. So you can see he has a great deal of experience as an elected official and board membership in a good ties within our community. Emily Rowe is an armed forces veteran and works with public safety, and she has great experience working with programs within our community, supporting crime prevention. She has a strong understanding of emergency response. She's been a great asset to us as well. We have next up Bill Riley, entrepreneur, self-employed business owner. He has some experience as an elected official with the Township of Lincoln. Christian Wolf, a director, chief executive officer with the YMCA of Niagara. He has brought an extensive, great deal of experience to us with respect to governance and his role in working with nonprofits. So with our foundation, I will pass on to Mike to talk to you about purpose and next steps. I will say that in the short time that we have been together, we clearly have come together as a very cohesive group. We have shared values and goals with the purpose of the foundation. We look very much forward to working with everybody as we move forward and get ourselves into a position where we are fulfilling our purpose as the foundation.
Thanks, Karen, and good morning, Chair, members, Chief, and members of the service. I also want to acknowledge Member Ip, who's a part of our board and was appointed by this board to sit on our foundation board, and as well as Chief Forty. I think collectively with Vita's support, as Karen has highlighted, we are a board, I think, that's dived in and trying to accomplish a lot of work in a very short time. Just to take you a little bit through our purpose, you've set up this board, but for those that don't know, we were really put together to start collaborating with community, institutional, and sector partners to look at the programs specifically around public safety, community well-being, and the foundation's long-term capacity. I know Deb did a lot of research on these types of foundations over the last number of months and years as this kind of took shape and this idea came forward. And so we're also looking to those foundations that have already been established to take some learnings away. We are focused on building and addressing some of those societal challenges, and you'll hear a little bit about that both in the coming months, but as well in this presentation as we take you through it. Again, as Karen mentioned, Our first meeting was July 17th. We meet once a month right now, and we anticipate that really being the way we'll move forward for at least the first year, but even beyond that, because there's a lot of work to get done, a lot of those initial steps that need to take hold. We do look to transitioning, I think, in the long term to maybe more quarterly meetings, but right now our agendas are jam-packed and we are meeting on a monthly basis. We've spent the first number of months really focusing on governance, so all the bylaws that needed to be established, a lot of the core policies around finance. We're a group that's going to be taking in money, and so how that happens, what that looks like, the policies and procedures around how we're going to take in money and eventually give that money out to the important causes across Niagara really are where we're focusing a lot of our time. As you can see, we've established a number of subcommittees, governance being one of them, and finance being another one. And as I said, we've spent a good part of our time talking about what's that financial infrastructure that we need to have in place. We have found at least our first partner, which is our financial partner. We interviewed different agencies, different credit unions. We did an assessment matrix looking at banks and credit unions. And ultimately, following an interview, we settled with First Ontario Credit Union as our partner, and we look forward to working with them and again, bringing back more information and hopefully yielding the benefits that go along with that relationship. Just want to take you maybe to that last point. Right now, we're probably at a stage as we open bank accounts and so forth to be able to take money in. I think what we want to focus on moving forward is what is that partner fund distribution look like? How do we start giving money out to the necessary groups and agencies across Niagara region? So a little bit in terms of next steps and some of our strategic priorities, they're really broken into those three categories, a little bit of what we spoke about today in terms of just that broader organizational direction and us looking at a strategic plan and establishing that strategic plan. Secondly, obviously, we've talked about a little bit of some fundraising type initiatives that have already been taking place that are part of the existing infrastructure of Niagara Regional Police. So we're talking about the Chiefs Gala and what that looks like moving forward, as well as talking about potentially a golf tournament, again, as a way to generate funds, but open to more and different types of initiatives potentially as well. And then in terms of long-term capacity building, again, as you can see there, I'll probably take you again to the third point there instead of reading each of them, but looking at what is that execution plan for how we give money out. And we are talking to the Niagara Community Foundation, and we'll be looking at some potential partnerships there as we look at both the not-profit sector and charity sector, but also other groups that don't necessarily fall within that particular category, but that also are in need of supports and services and fundraising and other initiatives. So that ends our presentation. We're here to take any questions, and as it stands right now, I think we're supposed to be coming back to the board and reporting on a quarterly basis, but look to your guidance as well, Chair and members.
Great, thank you for your presentation. I'll go to committee members, see if see if they have any questions. Member Yip?
Thank you, Chair. Mike and Karen, you touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious if you have a bit of a timeline in terms of when the board anticipates that the foundation will be able to make an impact in the community, a visible impact to the community.
I think at this point, we're hoping we will have our bank account set up by the end of this year, so by December 31st, so we can start taking funds. Ideally, it would be great if we could be in a position to start taking requests and giving disbursements maybe by second quarter of next year. Does that seem, I think?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to comment that, as you know, I sat on the selection committee for this foundation board along with you and Vice Chair Kappa-Savanu, Executive Director Reed, and the Chief of Police. We received so many good quality applicants and then selected a slate to interview. We originally we're supposed to accept 5 community members onto this board, but the candidates were so good that we expanded to 7. And the few months that I've been with this board is simply proving that we did exactly the right thing. The group of 7 people that we selected from the community is exemplary. So I look forward to continuing the work over this first year with the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Yip. Member Gibson?
Thank you, Chair, and through you, thank you for the presentation. It's a wonderful thing to see this coming to fruition here in Niagara. I'm wondering if, and it's probably too early to expect a response on this, but do you see yourselves focusing in on 3 or 4 organizations as a key focus for dollars being funded to that those organizations, or is it going to be more spread out over a lot? Because sometimes you can do a lot of good on just 3 or 4, and then we change and focus on 3 or 4 in a year later or 2 years later, or do you see it kind of going in many directions?
Through you, Chair, to Member Gibson, we really haven't had that conversation, Member Gibson, but I think I agree with you in terms of looking at what are some of the organizations within the context of Niagara region that both align to where the service is going and what the service supports. And obviously listening to the chief's highlights of this month, you can see that there's a lot of organizations that Niagara Regional Police support. But I think historically, when you've looked at whether it be tournaments or galas, they typically support 1 or 2 organizations. I think that's a conversation as a board we need to have and determine, is it better, to your point, to look at a handful of organizations that we may want to support and make more of a meaningful impact, or look at kind of a larger slate, or do a little bit of both, segment some of our funds where we're doing and making an impact to some core agencies and services, and then others that typically maybe don't get funds because they don't fall in the not-for-profit or charity sector quite the same way, and determine how we help those. But I think our strategic plan work will help that. And again, I think aligning to very much what the service is doing is where we as a foundation should and would want to be.
Okay, thank you. That's a great approach to it, and time will tell, as I figured. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gibson. I'll now go to Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that presentation. I'm super excited about this. I just have a quick question around the funding or the fundraising that is happening. How are we ensuring the integrity of funds that are being donated to the foundation?
Through your chair, to Member Cabasavania, I think a number of the policies that we've established, and we can definitely make sure that those policies are shared more broadly with the board, but a number of the policies that we've established as both part of governance and finance, I think attempt to address a lot of those things, both in terms of the type of partners we want, how money will be received, where it'll be received, what are the checks and balances in place, both for the intake as well as the distribution. I think as we highlighted in our presentation, the distribution piece of it, we do want to sit down with the Niagara Community Foundation and others who have expertise in this, definitely other services that already have established programs and initiatives and policies, and look at what and how they do it to ensure absolutely that there is integrity in the process, and that we continue to build trust and confidence in what we're doing.
Councillor Yip would like to, Councillor Yip. Member Yip would like to add to this, please.
There's many titles that you could
I know, geez. I'm never good at it.
Vice Chair Capasavanu, I just wanted to add to that there has been a discussion in terms of looking to what other foundations are doing for instances where when we first take the money in, everything is on the up and up, but maybe a while later we find out that someone is being charged with something or that sort of thing, and how, for instance, if a program is named for someone, the steps that we take to deal with that as well. So it's in the contemplation stages, but it's absolutely something that we're thinking about.
Thank you, Member.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair. I see no other comments or questions. I just want to thank you for the work that you're doing. You're doing a great job. I know we attend conferences and we talk to other police board members from across Ontario, and we always brag about, of us starting a foundation here in Niagara, and we're certainly proud to even mention that. And everybody's intrigued every time we mention that, because I think we're only one of two police boards or regions that have a police foundation. So we're certainly proud of that, and we're proud of the work that you're doing. So thank you, Member Yip, and you as well, Chief, for guiding the foundation for your help. I'm sure it's very much appreciated by the members.
Thank you, Chair, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that Director Reed has been involved in looking at this for probably a couple of years, and in the absence of that leadership, we wouldn't be here today, so.
Thank you for that. I'm always complimenting Director Reed here. She's fantastic. So, okay, thank you so much. We do have another presentation here this morning. It's a Special Investigative Services. Oh, sorry. Before we go on, I need a mover and seconder. Moved by Vice Chair Capsavanu, seconded by Member McKendrick, that the presentation be received. Any discussion? Sorry, will you second it, Member Yip? Okay. Any discussion? I'm seeing none, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. All right, we'll go to the next presentation. Chief, do you want to present the next one?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Staff Sergeant Dave Santos and Inspector Mike Tripp, who will provide a presentation on our Special Investigative Service, also known as our SIS.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chief, members of our executive team, Police Service Board. My name's Dave Santo. I'm the Staff Sergeant of Special Investigative Services. I'm here today to provide you with some information about our unit and some details about Project Road King, a recently concluded Joint Forces operation and wiretap investigation. First, I'll quickly give you some background about my policing career. I've been a police officer for 24 years. I've been fortunate enough to work in street crime for 3 years, major drugs for 8 years, covert operations for 4 years, and I've been the staff sergeant here at SIS since January 2025. So Special Investigative Services and our chain of command. We fall under the command of Deputy Chief Mario Lagriteria as part of Investigative Services, overseen by Superintendent Dave Massotti. A division of Investigative Services is Major Crime, overseen by Mike Tripp, and of course, Special Investigative Services, I report directly to him. So about Special Investigative Services, we're a plainclothes unit operating unmarked police vehicles. We provide support, information, and enforcement on organized criminal activity in the region. We work in collaboration with other police partners, sharing intelligence and coordinating enforcement. Other units that collectively provide this support include drugs and gangs, intelligence, joint forces operations, and covert operations. Here's our organizational chart. You can see we have an intelligence analyst, a unit clerk, we have 5 sergeants overseeing various teams, and 38 detectives in the office. In addition to training all police officers of the service in Ontario receive, officers assigned to SIS receive mandated training under the CSPA, including criminal investigations, search warrant preparation, major case management, and investigative interviewing. Additional comprehensive and mandated training specific to our unit include lawful justification, covert intelligence gathering, technical investigations, mobile surveillance, and informant and undercover handling. Now I'll go over the various teams and responsibilities of our unit. Starting with the Criminal Intelligence Team. They have 1 detective constable seconded to the Criminal Intelligence Services of Ontario as a regional intelligence coordinator responsible to share and disseminate information throughout the province. They also have 1 sergeant and 6 constables, and they maintain intelligence on organized crime groups, terrorism, hate groups, organized protest groups, and auto theft. The intelligence team is also responsible to facilitate and manage our wire room during wiretap investigations. Moving on to our JFOs, SAS has a number of officers assigned to Joint Forces operations. Officers on these teams work together, pooling resources and combining expertise and experience to meet their specific mandates. And I'll briefly go over each one. The first is the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit. We have 2 officers seconded to the RCMP, and their mandate is to investigate organized crime figures and groups in the province. I missed one? I missed the last 2 here. I'll start with provincial asset forfeiture. That was my mistake. Provincial asset forfeiture unit is 1 officer seconded to the OPP conducting investigations in regards to financial crimes, money laundering, and proceeds of crime investigations. Next, JFO is the biker enforcement unit, 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating biker-related activities throughout the province. Next is the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit. We have 2 officers seconded to the RCMP investigating organized crime groups in the province. The Provincial Anti-Terrorism Section, we have 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating terrorism-related activities in the province. Next is the Provincial Auto Theft and Tow Enforcement Unit. We have 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating stolen vehicles, carjackings, and misconduct in the tow industry. The Provincial Gun and Gangs Enforcement Unit, we have 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating gun and gang activity in the province. Next is a Provincial Weapons Enforcement Unit. We have 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating weapons trafficking offenses in the province. And next is the Border Drug Interdiction Task Force. We have 1 officer seconded to the OPP investigating illegal activities at our international borders. Next is the Border Enforcement Security Task Force. We have 1 officer seconded to Homeland Security in Buffalo, working with our American law enforcement partners, investigating transnational criminal organizations. In addition to that, through the CBSA, we have a full-time embedded officer assigned to SIS, assisting in immigration and border-related matters. Moving on to major drugs and our local enforcement teams here at headquarters. The Major Drugs and Gangs team has 1 sergeant and 7 constables investigating major drug activity in the region. They also provide expert opinions, reporting, and testimony for court proceedings, for cases across the service, and occasionally for other police agencies. They draw on their training and experience to offer professional opinions relevant to each investigation. These comprehensive reports assist the court in understanding the various aspects of drug-related offenses and are required when charges under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act for possession for the purpose of trafficking are laid. Also reporting to the sergeant in charge of major drugs is the Provincial Joint Forces Cannabis Enforcement Team. We have 2 officers seconded to the OPP investigating violations of cannabis-related legislation, including licensed storefronts and grows. Moving on to covert operations, they have 1 sergeant and 2 constables. They're responsible for technical and investigative support for the entire service. And the supervisor is responsible for the informant and undercover program for the entire service. Reporting to the sergeant in charge of covert operations is the Opioid Enforcement and Education Unit. We have 4 members investigating opioid-related overdose deaths, and they assist in providing proactive education strategies that include presentations to various levels of youths in schools, community groups, and they provide additional training to police officers. Cybercrime Unit also reports to the sergeant in charge of covert operations and has 2 members providing online investigative support for the entire service. They monitor special events and major incidents and conduct and report on online open source checks. Cybercrime Unit is also proactive in the community, providing seniors and other community members with information about the various dangers of online fraud. Lastly, the Mobile Surveillance Unit provides covert mobile and stationary surveillance and support to all members and units of the service. There's 1 sergeant and 5 constables. Next, I'd like to give you some brief details about Project Road King. It was a recently concluded wiretap investigation. So Road King is a multi-jurisdictional investigation conducted in conjunction with the RCMP, Halton Regional Police, CBSA, and CISO, concluded in September of 2025. And this investigation utilized judicial authorized comprehensive investigative techniques under Part 6 provisions of the Criminal Code. These provisions allowed investigators to intercept private communications of named persons in the investigation, and this is the wire room that I referred to earlier, maintained by our intelligence unit. The bottom half of the slide is a headline from City News after the media event we did at the conclusion of the project in October. The project's timeline is this next slide, and it started in August of 2024. By April of 2025, it moved into the project phase, and later that month, we received authorization to intercept private communications. A subsequent second authorization began in July for an additional 60 days, and in June 2025, we began working with the Halton Regional Police Service as significant overlap between investigations was recognized. On Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, approximately 200 police officers participated in the official takedown of the project as 12 search warrants were executed in Niagara, Hamilton, and Toronto. 30 people were arrested as part of this investigation. In our summary of totals, the project went for 13 months from August 2024 until September 2025. 30 people were arrested, over 200 criminal charges were laid, $265,000 of drugs was seized, 12.25 kilograms of cocaine, 1 kilogram of methamphetamine, 1.5 kilograms of MDMA, 38 stolen vehicles valued at $3.3 million, and 20 firearms, 17 long guns, shotguns or rifles, and 3 handguns were seized. Also, over $500,000 in currency was seized. The picture on the right of the slide is 2 bricks of cocaine that we seized over the course of the investigation. I mentioned 200 criminal charges were laid, and this is examples of some of the serious charges that we laid over the course of the project. Moving on to seizures. The picture to my left is 4 bricks of cocaine seized over the summer, and the picture to the right is a different seizure of 1 kilogram of cocaine. A kilogram or a brick of cocaine weighs approximately 1 kilogram and is valued at approximately $20,000. I would like to draw your attention to the markings on the kilograms of cocaine. In the illegal drug trade, large-scale traffickers often stamp bricks of cocaine for several reasons. These reasons could include establish a brand identity, allow traffickers to discreetly track shipments within the distribution chain. They use a basic safeguard against counterfeiting. They also enable participants in the criminal network to communicate information through symbols rather than overt identifiers to avoid incriminating themselves. The photograph on the left is some seizures continued. That's a currency seizure made during the investigation. And the photograph on the right is a Ruger handgun that was recovered, loaded in a stolen vehicle in a residential portion of Mississauga. This investigation into these drug-related activities also uncovered a stolen vehicle component of this project. So the picture on the right of the slide is 3 stolen vehicles that we recovered as part of the project. The blue sport utility furthest right is a Lamborghini Urus. And over the course of the investigation, 38 stolen vehicles were recovered, 24 on September 9th in Welland and Hamilton. Vehicles were stolen from Niagara, Toronto, South Simcoe, and Edmonton. Several vehicles were recovered in containers at international shipping points in Vancouver, Burnaby, Montreal, and Toronto, destined for export overseas, some to Nigeria and Vietnam. Sophisticated measures were used to steal these vehicles, including altering the vehicle identification number, the use of Apple AirPod tracking devices to track targeted vehicles, and electronic equipment to reprogram aftermarket key fobs. Vehicles were stolen from parking lots and shopping malls, the airport, or from private driveways. In some cases, the VINs were altered with such precision that identification as stolen required expertly trained officers to do so. Some of the accused parties were so confident in the manner that these vehicles were stolen and altered that they proceeded to use them as a consistent means of transportation. The photograph to the right is a number of vehicles that were towed to a tow yard for further examination on September 9th, and that's the complete list of all 38 stolen vehicles recovered over the course of the project. Some notable vehicles include a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, and a Bentley Continental. So this investigation highlights interagency cooperation, intelligence and information sharing while conducting proactive enforcement. It successfully dismantled a drug trafficking and stolen vehicle network with connections and implications, extending provincially, nationally, and internationally. A project as large as this presents some investigative challenges. I would like to take this opportunity to thank members of Senior Command for their ongoing support throughout. That's the end of my presentation and the details about the project, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, excellent presentation. Any questions from members? No. Okay. I don't see any, but that was excellent, excellent presentation, very informative, and again highlights the work that you do. I think I do have one question for you though. Are there any challenges that you see in the work that you do today? You don't have to list them all, but maybe one or two that really stands out.
Chair, there's a number of challenges that we face every day in intelligence. Intelligence is consistently evolving. Criminal groups and networks are changing and using more sophisticated means to communicate, and using technology as an advantage. Trying to keep up with those technological advances is a challenge. Also, organized crime is changing. Organized crime isn't always traditionally Asian organized crime or a biker gang. Some non-traditional organized crime groups are people banded together for the sole reason to commit criminal offenses for profit. So that's another challenge, some unconventional organized crime groups that we're encountering.
Great, thank you. One more question. What do they do with the stolen vehicles? Are they given back to the owners, or are they sold off, or just?
To you, Chair. It depends on the condition that they're recovered. Sometimes they're returned to the owner, and other times the insurance company buys them out and uses them in other ways.
Okay. I thought maybe we get some monies out of the deal or somewhere. I guess not. All right, thank you. Again, thank you for your presentation. Very informative.
Thank you.
Need a mover and seconder. Moved by Member Yip, seconded by Member Gibson. That the presentation be received. Are there any comments, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We'll go to number 9, consent items, consent agenda. I'd like to move items 9.1 to 9.8 in block. Moved by Member Yip, second by Vice Chair Capsavanu. Is there any discussion? Don't see none. Call the question then. All those in favor? And that carries. We'll go to number 10, new business. 10.1, the Microsoft Enterprise Agreement Renewal, moved by Member McKendrick, second by Vice Chair Capsavanu, that the board approve renewal of 2026 to 2028 Microsoft Enterprise Agreement on a single source basis to Microsoft for a 3-year term at a total of value of $3,607,190.31, including HST net of rebates. Any comments or discussion? Vice Chair Capsavanu? Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I was looking for my unmute button. I just wanted to find out with regards to, I noticed that within the report, there's a part that they talk about AI that is going to be deployed within the software that is being bought. Is that going to be deployed right away before the policies are created, or are we going to wait for the policies around AI and cybersecurity to be developed before we start deploying AI use within this software?
Thank you for the question. I'll go to the Chief.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the Vice Chair. Yeah, thank you. Yes, you are correct. The framework and the policies with respect to the governance of AI are going to be developed prior to being implemented. And we are in the throes of reviewing our policies right now and trying to create that framework.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Member or Vice Chair Capsavanu. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. We'll go to item 10.2, special fund requests. But before we consider the special fund requests listed under item 10.2, I'd like to remind members of the public that the special fund does not form part of the police operating budget and is separate from the regional tax base. The special fund is a discretionary pool of funds which is used for grants and charitable donations. Disbursements from the fund are made in accordance with guidelines provided in the Community Safety and Policing Act and with the Board Bylaw 403-2024, Special Fund Administration Limitations and Guidelines. So we have two of them today. So 10.2, special request funds. Number one is Light the Gala Way Gala, $1,000, and number two is Shopping with the Cops, $4,000. So moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the board authorize the special fund donations as outlined in the report and approve payment in the requested amounts. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question then. All those in favor? And that carries. We'll go to number 11, other business. Do any board members have any other new business? I'm seeing none. Chief?
No, thank you, Chair.
No. Okay. We'll go to number 12, motion for closed session. That the board move into closed session for consideration of confidential matters pursuant to the section 44, subsection 2 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, namely to consider reports and recommendations about the security of the property of the board, personnel matters, and about an identifiable individual, human resources and labor relations matters, subject matters related to litigation or potential litigation, information supplied in confidence by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, as well as legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. So the board will now move into closed session and continue with our public agenda following those directions, or those discussions, sorry. So I need a mover and seconder. Or the mover and seconders, okay. Moved by Vice Chair Capsavanu, second by Member McKendrick. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. So now we will move into closed session. All right. Is everybody here? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start back to, from the public meeting will be at number 13. That's reports from the closed session. So 13.1, as at its October 23rd, 2025 closed meeting, the board discussed its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and requested further information to ensure that cultural and bias awareness are reflected in both member training and probationary constable performance evaluation framework. So the following motion has been passed, that the board requests that the chief of police provide a public report at the December 18th meeting outlining the cultural and bias awareness training provided to the service members, including the current demographics of the service, both sworn and civilian, and further that the chief of police develop a standardized probationary performance evaluation framework incorporating measurable bias mitigated criteria. And it was carried. That was moved by member Yip, seconded by member Gibson, that in accordance with the board direction that the above noted matter be made available to the public. Okay, so, any discussion to that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. I'll go again back to other business if any other members have any other business before we close off here. Member Yip?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I missed with item 9.2 earlier in the agenda, the Neighborhood Watch in Niagara. I'm curious through you, Chair, what does this program look like in practice?
Chief, you want me to go to?
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Chief Laguarteria has been central to the initiative so far, working with Inspector Rob LaPlante. So with your permission, I would invite Deputy Chief Lagrataria to provide his insights.
Thanks, Chief. Through you, Chair, to Member Yip. As referenced in the report, we did look at different options for Neighborhood Watch program. There's two options. One is where a region or municipality runs the actual program, and the other is where a police service runs it. Looking at a Neighborhood Watch, sometimes it's mistaken, but also for the public, it's a block parent, but this is not the case. And those Neighborhood Watch programs that are being done elsewhere, it's usually based at a social media platform. So neighborhoods will create informally a face page group or an Instagram group, and then provide information to neighborhoods. So what it looks like in Niagara is really formalizing that process. We're in a position where we have CORE, a community-oriented response and engagement unit, to facilitate it. We have a separate committee, as referenced by the Chief, Inspector Rob LaPlante, who oversees our CORE unit in addition to our Niagara Falls district. We'll put a committee together. We're looking at creating a video that can get posted for the community, a lot of information that can be provided to the community for crime prevention tips, and what these actual Neighborhood Watch programs look like. In addition to that, utilizing our corporate communications unit to really get that message out to showcase that there's this possibility. And then piggybacking programs we already have, like the Citizens Program, where we can have town halls for those organizing those actual forums to come in to get that additional awareness and oversight. Again, a lot of it will be the rules of engagement, which is something the committee will work on. And we'd hope to get it up and running maybe by the end of first quarter of 2026 after all that's done.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Yip. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Seeing no other business, we'll go to adjournment. Moved by Member Yip, second by Vice Chair Capsavanu, that the Niagara Police Service Board meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.